and safety. The probation service would never say that there is nobody who should not go to prison. There are some people at some point in their life where the only solution for public safety is to put them in prison, but it will not stop them committing the crime.
The public's patience, though, is clearly running out, and the demand goes up for ever harsher sentences. The government seems to agree. But here on this housing estate in the West Midlands, they say no. They've developed a unique approach, and it started as a result of an accident involving a number of 13-year-olds that happened right here.
Well, every other week there was cars found over Slacky Lane, either burnt out or just dumped there. Every week it was in the newspaper, cars were getting stolen. And we was having people joyriding around the estate, and there's nothing to stop them. Because, I mean, if you look at the estate, it's just like a figure eight. So it's like a death track, if you like. It's a figure eight like it is at Ensford. And they were riding around the estate, and it culminated with children who nearly got killed. And that's not like trying to gloss it up. That's what happened.
So 3 years ago, they set up a unique community project. It's legalised joyriding, but it's no sentence. The facilities are free to any child, in the hope that by channeling that buzz early, they can stop the crimes happening. 200 come each year. One admitted how he'd been stealing since he was 14 and had never been caught.
Once I was in the car, it was like I was somebody else. I just wanted to drive the car. It's hard to explain. I thought about it like afterwards when you got out of the car, you think I could have hit somebody, but while you're actually in the car, it doesn't bother you. You just want to go faster and faster and faster.
Speed's got a lot to do with it then?
Yeah. At first, it wasn't so much the speed, it was the thrill of taking a car and driving it. But after a while, it gets boring, just taking them and riding them around. You look for new things to do with them. Speed. The faster you go, the more exciting it is.
But the project has changed his life. He's learnt about the cars he was so fascinated with, is now doing a 3-year mechanics course at college, and says he's kicked crime.
I said, if you keep coming and working, we'll allow you to race. Well, as soon as I heard the word race, that was it. I kept coming up and coming up. But it was the thrill of the actual racing, you know. You're on a track, and you can just give it hell for leather. You ain't got to stop for nothing, you can just go. It's not like on the road, you're not taking any of the risks up on the road.
We can't say it stopped it happening 100%, but we're almost there. 99.9%, we're almost there. But actually we're doing something about it. And that's what the government need to look at. They need self-help groups, they need people who experience it. Because believe you me, I don't think them down in London know exactly what they're talking about.
There's another striking view emerging about this appalling and complex crime. The belief that youngsters simply grow out of it by the time they're in their 20s.
Yes, this is a fact that most crime is committed by young people. By the time the average criminal or former criminal gets to the age of 24 or 25, they have grown out of crime, generally speaking, and quite often go on to lead blameless lives. But that doesn't help, because there's another generation of youngsters taking their place. So we always seem to get a continuous increase in this sort of crime.
For this youngster, the arguments are academic. He has 3 years left to serve, but he must bear the consequences of his actions for the rest of his life. This is the story of a most appalling waste of lives. And if it's true that prison doesn't deter, then we're left with 2 questions. Will the kids who steal stop and think again? And to parents, do you really know where your youngsters are tonight?
It's now expected that legislation to crack down on joyriders, the Aggravated Vehicle Taking Bill, will be law by the end of the year. Despite some opposition, the Home Secretary Kenneth Baker succeeded this week in rushing the bill through the Commons in just 1 day. Mr. Baker also had a second meeting with car manufacturers to impress on them the need for greater vehicle security.
Following last week's Top Gear report on the subject, the Department of Transport has announced it's pushing for a tough Europe-wide security standard for new cars. But one senior government source told us they were pleased to see some manufacturers promoting security in their advertising.
If marketed well,
he told us,
security can be made to appear as sexy as Go Faster stripes.
The latest monthly car sales figures are the worst for 11 years.
100,600 new cars were sold last month. That's almost a third down on sales for November 2 years ago.
But some manufacturers have reason for cheer. Ford's Fiesta is top of the league table, outselling all other rivals.
And there's cause for celebration at Lada too. Their sales have just topped 300,000 cars in the UK since first coming here 17 years ago.
Last Sunday, the third winner of the McLaren Autosport Young Driver of the Year award was announced at the magazine's awards dinner in London.
As a result of winning this season's Formula First Championship, Oliver Gavin had been selected to compete at Donington last month against the other 5 finalists. His prize is a cheque for £20,000 towards a budget for next season's racing. He spoke to Tony Mason.
This is like a launching platform for my career, hopefully. Hopefully I can proceed on up the ladder as I have done this year, and hopefully I'll make it to Formula 1 and be world champion one year.
One of the judges at the award was our very own Tiffany Dell, but he's currently in Portugal driving Nigel Mansell's Formula 1 Williams. I was going to ask him why Oliver Gavin won, but in his absence I'm going to turn to one of the other judges, John Kirkpatrick.
I would have to say he's had a remarkable season. He's driven probably more chassis than anybody else. But we gave him a ride in the Formula 3 car, which we felt was an examination of his abilities, and he did a fantastic job.
Also honoured at the dinner was World Formula 1 champion Ayrton Senna, voted International Driver of the Year by Autosport readers.
Who is your hero in motor racing?
Ayrton Senna. Has to be Ayrton Senna. He's the most complete racing driver I've ever seen.
Now, if I had to say or be shot whether the Frontera will be a success, I'd have to say that in the case of the sport, the answer is a definite yes. I think it's terrific. As far as the estate's concerned, well, that's got a few problems, not least of which is the fact that it's priced very close to some serious competition. And that competition is going to get even more serious next year when Jeep, the people who started this whole off-road shenanigan going, come back to Britain. £15,000 gets you one of these. It's the Wrangler, but with this chrome grille, it's a bit too American. I think I'd probably spend a little bit more, maybe 19 or 20,000, and get one of these, the Cherokee. Now, it's got a 4-litre, 6-cylinder engine, so it's got the same punch as a Golf GTI. The only thing is that Jeep, or the people who are importing it, think they're going to get it back. But I've taken a bit of a shine to it, so they're not. Next week on Top Gear, living with a supercar. Can a Ferrari really be fun in London? A new source of fuel for vehicles. Try growing your own. And a transport